And welcome to this episode of The Savage Edge. Well, I procrastinated till Thursday to do my podcast for Friday. I've got some interviews in the wings and things like that, but I've been doing a few of these solo and then switching some in with interviews, as you guys know. I don't know really why I procrastinated till today, but now I really get it. Yesterday was a tragic day in the United States and a tragic day in the world. Charlie Kirk, if you know Charlie Kirk, he had such an amazing following of young people, especially young students across the United States and around the world. And Charlie was a guy, whether you agreed with him or not, whether you knew him or not, and whether you saw him on social media or followed his podcast, one thing that you could always count on from Charlie Kirk was he was going to tell you what he believed. But he was also going to listen to what you had to say. And isn't that the essence of what we do in life, in business, and sales, what we should be doing? Listening to what the other person has to say. You know, sometimes we forget that God gave us 2 ears, right, to listen. First time I think I really read that was in Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits. But God has given us 2 ears to listen. Listen and respond. But listen and to respond in a way that we can disagree and we can agree to disagree. And that doesn't have to get violent. You know, I just don't know what the world has come to over the last couple of years. You know, I don't care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or a Christian or a Muslim or whatever you are. We need to respect each other as human beings. Now, I'm a Christian, and I make no bones about that. And I believe God has a plan for us, and I believe God had a plan for Charlie Kirk as well. And I believe Charlie Kirk's voice will speak louder now than it ever has. I really do believe that. It's unfortunate for us here, but you know, I got to believe that he's holding hands with God and his kingdom, and I pray for the repose of his soul, and I pray for his family, his wife, and his 2 children. So today, I want to talk to you a little bit about hearing, a little bit about listening, and how does that play into your day as you go along in your sales career, as you go along in business. Are you really hearing everything that people have to say? Or are you compartmentalizing that? Are you waiting till they get done and then just speaking over the top of them, or not commenting on what they had to say, but then saying what you need to say? I think that happens a lot in relationships too. I mean, and not intentional in a lot of times. It's a matter of, you know, you're excited about something, and you hear somebody speak, and you can't wait till they get done because you're going to tell them what you're excited about. What if we took a step back for a minute? What if we just took a step back and just programmed ourselves, took control of that runaway computer in our brain, and said, hey, I'm going to listen, I'm going to process, I'm going to respond to that person before I speak what I need to say or what's on my mind. Seek first to listen and understand before being understood. That was also a Covey thing in the 7 Habits. So seek first to understand. And in order to understand, you have to listen. You have to take in what someone's saying, and you have to process it. That's really valuable in sales. It's really valuable in relationships. There's no doubt about that. You know, when I wrote the 4 Pillars of Sales and I started, you know, talking about personality styles, because I really embraced that several years ago. I really wanted to understand how people communicate. And then I put two and two together and just said, okay, well, if I understand how that person communicates, I could adapt my style. Not to be phony, not to put one over on anyone, but to respond in a way that they like to receive information. The essence of a sales call, that's what I always thought that it would be. The essence of a sales call. Walking into an office, meeting people that you don't know. You know, today, meeting people by Zoom, virtually at scale, not knowing who the heck they are. But their mannerisms, the way they speak, their background of their office, all gives you clues into how they like to receive information. Yeah, you can tag that with a personality style. I did with the Dominator. There's a fast-driven person. A lot of people in sales are dominators, right? Or they're direct, or they're doers, whatever you want to call them. And people that want all the numbers, well, they're analysts, right? You know, some people tag these with colors, you know, some companies. The enthusiast, the person that's always running around, going amok, he's also talking about sports and whatever's going on in his life or her life and not coming back to the subject at hand that you really need to discuss. And how do you handle that person? Well, you've got to adapt, right? And then the moderator that is so, easygoing. Well, I like you, you like me. I don't want to hurt your feelings even if I don't like your product. You've got to understand what those styles are. In order to do that, you have to process it. You have to listen. And I think that's what we should be doing in this country a lot more. And I'm sorry to get on a bandwagon here, or a soapbox, whatever you choose to think about it as. But if we take a step back and just listen and see the other person's point of view, wouldn't that get us farther along in a relationship? Wouldn't that get you farther along in a sales call? If you are just out of school, if you are just out of, the medical sales college or a company training program, and you're loaded for bear with product knowledge, and you know your product inside out, and you know the competition too. Well, that's what you're supposed to know, right? And you can't wait to go feature benefit, and feature benefit that person to death. But if you don't listen, you're going to go down the wrong road. There's no question about it. You're going to go down the wrong path. But if you listen and you understand their needs, or uncover a need or an issue, at first glance, at first conversation, you may not even realize what they need. They may not even realize what it is that they need. However, by finding common ground. Now, the 4 pillars: honesty, integrity, knowledge, and genuine interest. That's genuine interest in people. It's the genuine interest in people there's a pathway to a successful career and a fulfilling life. And it lets you find common ground. It lets you find common ground with people. That starts the conversation. So sales doesn't become an interview, a process. It becomes a discussion. It becomes a discussion to build a relationship, to uncover needs that your client potentially needs, and builds trust between the two of you so that you together can solve that issue, that problem, find the right product or service, whatever that is from your company. Yeah, it's doing something for and with a person, not to someone. And when you look at it that way, you build a relationship. Yeah, you get a sale. You can say, oh, I closed the sale. No, you didn't close the sale. You opened a door, and you opened up the value of a new relationship, and something that you should really value and hang on to, because lately they're few and far between. Social media, virtual at scale, all great, but you got to back that up with trust, and it's tough to build trust. It is. But once you build that, and once you do something for and with a client and you work with them to resolve their needs or their product issue, now you've really got something. You've got something for now, but you've also got something for the future. I hope that hits home with you. I'm excited to bring you these podcasts every week. I'm going to continue to do it. We're going to have some great guests. If you like what you're hearing and you like what you've heard, subscribe. And go to my website, fourpillarsconsultinggroup.com. You'll find a course on effective communication and the sales call there. And if you want to go back and listen to some of the previous issues and comment and just see if it resonates with you, that would be great. That means that we're doing something here and we're doing something for you. Doing something for and with you. And I hope together we're building a relationship. Until next week, I'm Jerry Savage, and this has been The Savage Edge.